that. You don't like to...
Alex, how hard was it to go through this process, and especially here recently as the players reported to camp and get on the ice?
Well, I think there's always a part of a player that's, you know, in a team sport that wants to be there with his teammates, and certainly not an easy thing to go through watching them, you know, start up without me. But at the same time, we were trying to focus on what we had to do, and it was only 2 days, so I'm glad to finally be here.
Some of the guys had mentioned that they had talked to you throughout the process and whatnot. How much did that help out, just to be able to communicate with them?
Yeah, I think the familiarity with the systems, and spoke to David Backus a few times, just trying to keep me up to date on what was going on here and how the guys are doing. And you know, I got a lot of phone calls from Schwartz, and you know, it's good to have that. That means that they care. That means that you know, they're wondering when I was coming back, and it's certainly going to make an easier transition here starting today.
This is your first time with a really big contract like this. Do you just rely on the agent to kind of guide you through the process? Did you have a lot of input as well?
Well, I got my representatives that are going to help me, you know, guide me in a direction. But ultimately, the decision is mine. You know, me and my family come to the final conclusion. Obviously, I have a supporting cast behind me, and you know, I ultimately made the decision to get here today.
How much of that was you in the last, say, 48 hours? Because it seems like talks had broken off. Just were you behind getting it done here recently?
Well, I mean, I was kind of getting it done the whole time. And obviously, I wanted to be here, be a Blue. And that was my ultimate goal. I mean, like I said, I had my representatives to bring me to the right direction, and they're going to, you know, give me their ideas and their thoughts. But ultimately, it comes down to what I want.
Was there a breakthrough? Was there something, you know, it went from being a one-day holdout to, bam, he's a Blue for 7 years. What got you there in such a short amount of time? Because I think most of the fans and maybe the Blue staff, you know, the apprehension was how long could this take? And could it impact the onset of the season?
I can answer it from our perspective. We were in a lot of communication with Alex's representatives in Traverse City, Michigan, which is our rookie tournament. We had a nice, Don Mean and I had good dialogue the night before training camp. And there was a couple outstanding issues that we couldn't push ourselves past. We talked the first day of training camp just to keep the lines open, and to Don's credit, he said, listen, I have a couple of ideas I'd like to throw at you tomorrow morning. We got on a conference call with Don and some other people in his group at 9:15. We pushed, we pulled, we prodded. We both got extremely uncomfortable and said, yes, let's get a deal done. And at that point, ultimately, what Alex said was, they said, that's a deal that we're going to go take back to Alex. He has to make that decision. He was actually skating, so it took a few hours after that for him to get back to Don. And exciting times for a manager, but very nervous times. Not sure, is it taking so long because he's not happy, or is it taking so long because he's working extra?
Yeah, I think Doug pretty much touched on most of it in terms of how it all went down. It's you know, when you get into a situation like this, for me, it wasn't to rush a decision. It was to sit here and think about it. And like I said, I was on the ice at the time, and you know, it took a couple hours to think it over, sit down with my parents, and like I said, ultimately, I wanted to be a St. Louis Blue for a long time, and this is something that made sense to me and made sense to my family.
Alex, you go from a guy making